Hi, this is Brandon Moon with Moonlit Fly Fishing. I want to welcome you to fly tying night tonight. Tonight we're going to be tying up a really cool Violet Perdigon Euro-style nymph. Very effective patterns, and as many of you know, we really love purple, and violet is a shade of purple closest to the UV spectrum of light. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started real quick. The hook that we're going to be using today is the Moonlit Premium Tagata ML 501. This is a size 16. Tie this in a 14 as well. The bead is a little oversized with a 3.0 metallic purple slotted tungsten. The thread is 12/0 classic wax from Semperfli in the violet color. We're going to start that right behind the bead of the hook and wrap that all the way back to the bend of the hook, where we're going to take and tie in our tail. For our tailing fibers, we're going to use CDL in a grizzly or a medium dun. You could also use a hand saddle hackle fiber as well. We're going to tie this in right there, and we want this tail to be just a little shorter, about 3/4 of the length of the hook shank to maybe a half. We want a short tail on this, not very long. So we'll just kind of adjust that. We always tie it in long so we can adjust it shorter if needs be. So once we've got that adjusted, we're just going to secure that down again. Bead's in the way, so I'm going to move it back up front. Finish securing that down just a little bit, where I'm going to take my scissors and cut that tailing fiber right there at the bead of the hook. And this is just so that I can get a nice smooth underbody on this fly. We're going to take and finish securing that down, wrapping up into the bead of the hook. At this point, we're going to start and get our body material, which is Semperfli's iridescent purple Perdigon body. I'm going to tie this in, and I'm going to have a little long on this. You can see it poking out, and I'm going to do a couple wraps and pulling that back as I go, just ever so slightly, so that it comes underneath that thread, where I'm going to take and wrap all the way back to the tail at the bend of the hook now. Once we get back to the bend of the hook, we're going to create a nice taper to the body. And I'm going to set that iridescent Perdigon body over in my material clip as I wrap forward and backward to create a taper on this body. You can use a thicker thread to create a faster taper. I like this thinner thread where I can create more steps to this taper, creating a little bit smoother taper. So we're going to go forward and backwards until we get back up to the bend or the bead of the hook, and we feel satisfied with our taper. Everybody's going to feel a little bit different. I like mine to taper a little more than most. It takes a little extra time, but for me, to my eye, it looks better that way, and I like it. So we'll take and finish wrapping that up and doing that, creating the taper. At that point, I'm going to take and half hitch when I'm done with that, so that I can wrap using the rotary feature on this. These flies have a slim body coated with UV resin. That's going to give it a nice fast sink rate, and a nice slim profile helps it sink faster as well. Now we've got that ready, we're going to wrap our body material. I'm just going to tighten that up and use my finger to kind of help make sure that I get an open instead of twisting up that body material. I want it to stay flat as I wrap it, and I'm just going to wrap that with touching wraps going forward. It's going to give me a purple and violet color, with the underbody of the violet showing through slightly in that iridescent purple. We'll wrap that all the way up into the bead, where I can then tie it off. And you can see sometimes I just want to go back and just create a nice smooth wrap going up in. Really easy to do with the rotary vise, nice and smooth. Now I'm going to lock that down. And I like to go 2 in front, 1 or 2 in or back, and then 1 or 2 in the front. Then I'm going to take my razor blade, trim that out. Now I'm going to take and use my whip finish and just give 2 whip finishes or 3. And then I'll trim that thread out. Now we'll take some Semperfli Classic Wax 12-aught in floral pink just to create our hot spot here. I'm just going to create a little taper to this hot spot going up from the body into the bead. We'll just do that just a few wraps to where we'll take the whip finish tool, give this a good 3 or 4 turn whip, and then we'll trim it out again just like we did previously. Trim that tag end out as well. For some reason this time I got a little bit of a tag end on that thread, so I'm just going to take my scissors and clean that up. Here's where we're going to take and put our UV glue in, or UV resin. I'm using Solarez Thin Hard. I'm going to take some of that and I'm going to put that with the applicator right in that little slot of the bead. You can see there's a little build up there. Turn it over. Add some right there on the same spot on the other side. And this is where I'm going to take and I'm going to apply this down into the body of this, giving me a nice smooth, even taper to my body. You can see we're just going to blend that down in. On the underside, I'll go down just over to where the tail is, and that'll help give me a nice taper to that, nice smooth transitions. Now we'll just take and rotate that, spinning it just a little bit to help that even out the UV resin. Take our UV pin, cure that up for just a few seconds, letting it harden up and cure. Once we've got that cured and finished, we're going to take some black fingernail polish. I like the gel fingernail polish. And we're going to take and apply a small little bit of amount onto our bodkin. And I'm going to take that fingernail polish on the tip of my bodkin and apply that just on that top side there to create a little bit of a wing case. I'll wipe off my bodkin. I always keep a little bit of a paper towel so that I can clean that up. I'll take my UV light again, cure that up for just a few seconds just to help it harden up and cure. And there you have the violet colored Perdigon Nymph.